Hey everybody, Dylan here, and today we are going to be doing yet again another quickie reading. Today's quickie reading is going to continue the trend that I've been doing of covering characters. Today's character is the evolutionary form of Rosicru, otherwise known as Vamprosa. Now, for those of you guys who have a little bit of brain cells left in your noggin, you would be able to tell that all Chris Chan did to come up with this name was take the beginning of vampire, take the beginning of Rosicru, mix them together, and boom, Vamprosa. Vamprosa evolves from Rosicru with a moonstone. Her bite can suck the life out of her enemies because Rosicru's apparently a murderer now. Her cape gives her the ability to fly. That is from the Vamprosa Animal Crossing card that Chris Chan made. So yeah, this is the actual canon evolution for Rosicru. I don't know if this will ever happen in the comics, but apparently it is supposed to happen at one point in her lifetime. Vamprosa is an evolved form of Rosicru. She reaches this final form by leveling up at midnight between 12 and 12:05. Though Chris has also given an extended account of this method, which Rosicru also needs high friendship levels. Well, everyone fucking loves her because she's one of the main characters, so that won't be a problem. And the time frame is increased to the midnight hour rather than 12 to 12:05. And entirely contradictory to the earlier account that Vamprosa simply evolves using a moonstone. So it seems like Chris is trying to have his cake and eat it too. He's trying to mix Animal Crossing continuity with the continuity of Pokemon, and Sonichu is already a mixture of Pokemon and Sonic, so he's trying to mix too many things at once, and now it's starting to contradict itself. She either evolves with the Moonstone, like in Pokemon, how certain Pokemon can evolve with Moonstones, or she evolves in some weird Animal Crossing way. Make up your mind, Chris. Unlike the Incredible Lioness, this appears to be a permanent evolution. There is no actual evolutionary change other than gaining fangs, probably as a reference to Chris Chan wanting fangs at one point, that protrude from her mouth, and a cape that somehow gives her the ability to fly. I don't understand that either. In every depiction, her eyes are half lid, but this is presumably just a facial expression. Being a vampire, she can suck the life out of enemies. The reason why Rosicru's final evolution is a blood-sucking creature of darkness is not something Chris feels the need to explain. Chris confirmed in a presentation that Vamprosa is indeed a Dark Electric, a unique type that has yet to appear in any Pokemon game. It's also the exact same type that Black Sonichu is, apparently, if you've seen our last Sonic Insanity video on him. Chris has confirmed that, like her male counterpart, only the original Rosicru may evolve into Vamprosa, making this evolution unique to just her, unlike in Pokemon. In the classic Sonichu strips, a 25-year later segment shows her to have done just that, with Sonichu having evolved into Metonic. Now let's look at some of these original art pieces Chris made for Vamprosa. This is the Animal Crossing card right here. You can see how it's poorly cropped out because Chris Chan can't do art properly. You can actually see some of the pixels left over in the background. I don't think we're going to need to see the back because it's not going to give us any information. I guess we know she's a Pisces now, so have fun with that information. Yeah, it's what the quickie already told us, but let's take a look at this Yu-Gi-Oh card. Hell yeah. Vamprosa, 5-star creature. And it says Vamprosa by... Oh, okay, we already got that. Oh, that sucks. There's no information here. Let's see what the cape says. Vamprosa's cape. Spell card. Only Vamprosa can be equipped with this card. The monster equipped with this card increases its defense points by 1,000. Why would it increase her defense points? Oh, well, I guess that's not going to be explained. And then we got a Vamprosa Pokemon card. Anything unique here? Mean look and bite. Okay, so that's all there is on Vamprosa. Vamprosa is the evolutionary form of Rosicru. It hasn't happened yet, but at some point within a 20-year time skip, Rosicru is going to transform into a vampire. Unless Chris Chan retcons the continuity like he's known to doing. A few years has already passed in the Sonichu comics, seeing how their kids have aged and characters have aged along with time. So maybe one day we'll actually see Rosicru take this form. Today we are going to be doing yet again another quickie reading. Today's quickie reading is going to be on Metonic. Now, for those of you guys who didn't watch the last video on Roschu, Roschu also had an evolutionary form named Vamprosa. This is just like that. It was made as a Animal Crossing thing, and apparently this is supposed to be Sonichu 25 years in the future. Now, Metonic. Metonic evolves from Sonichu by being traded while holding a metal coat. His armor adds weight, so he can't do a spin dash, but his speed stays the same, and his spikes are diamond sharp. Now that doesn't make any fucking sense, because unless Chris Chan gives up ownership of Sonichu, he'll never be able to achieve this form, because he has to be traded. So Chris Chan would have to trade Sonichu to someone within the next 25 years in order for him to evolve. Metonic is the final evolution of Sonichu from the future, seen in the classic Sonichu strips. According to an Animal Crossing card in Chris Chan's Scrapbook of Fail, Sonichu evolves into Metonic after being traded while holding a metal coat. Later, Chris Chan went on to clarify that this evolution is specific to Sonichu, the first yellow recolor, so only the original Sonichu. And the rest of his species cannot evolve into this form, because I guess that's just how evolution works now, according to Chris Chan. Metonic is an electric steel type Pokemon. Unlike Ultra Sonichu, Metonic appears to be a permanent evolution. Metonic is not much different than regular Sonichu in appearance. He still has the same body shape and particular colors, at least from what we can see, but now he sports a heavy suit of armor and a sword, where the former only protects certain parts of his body. The armor covers his chest and the boots protect his feet, and he has a helmet which protects the sides of his head. But his massive eyes and the rest of his face and his lower stomach, neck, and legs, except the knee pads, tail, forearms, and crotch, are all exposed, meaning anyone could attack him at any time in those areas and he'd be fucked. One is only left to wonder why Sonichu even bothers with the armor, considering that the armor is actually so heavy that it prevents him from using his spin dash attack that his inspiration Sonic the Hedgehog has become famous for. I think it's because Chris Chan's trying to make him different, but it just doesn't seem to make any fucking sense for him to have this armor. Is the armor part of his skin? Is it part of his, body now? Is this just how he is now? Can he never take the armor off? If he takes the armor off, is he de-evolving? There's so many questions that get brought up due to this evolutionary form. It's so fucking ridiculous. Though it somehow does not affect his speed. Of course, all of this is really just down to a change of wardrobe. Really, the only difference between Metonic and Sonichu wearing armor is that Metonic has spiked ears. Metonic has yet to appear in the main episodes of the Sonichu comics, restricted to a cameo appearance in the collection of cards that Chris Chan has on his wall of originals. But as mentioned above, he did make a single appearance in the classic Sonichu strips from Sonichu Zero in a 25 years later segment, wherein he's shown to chop logs and shamelessly recycle jokes from XL Saga. The future looks bleak. In Chris Chan plus Sarah's life shares, adults are portrayed as Metonic and Vamprosas for absolutely no reason. It could be that much like Sonny and Rosie are generally used by Chris to symbolize people who are younger than he is at the time. Metonic and by extension Vamprosa are his perception of his elders. And now we're going to take a look at some of the artwork that Chris Chan has made for Metonic. We have his Animal Crossing card, and we see that the other one is just like the Roschu one, where it only mentions that he's a Pisces, and that's not really too fucking useful information. We see a Pokemon card with extremely blurry artwork, and I think he put in tinfoil to make it shine, and I can't read any of this. Here's another card with a different pose, the same one from the fucking Animal Crossing card. Here is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Chris Chan got really fucking lazy because he just recycled this same drawing over and over and over again. He is actually 6 stars. That's 1 more star than Vamprosa was, and he's actually physically stronger. So yeah, that's pretty sad. He's just overall better than Roschu yet again. We see Metonic's sword, which increases his power by 1,000 attack points, and then we see his boots, which increase his defense by 500 points, so he can get even beefier. Fuck bouncing, who fucking cares? It's Sonichu. And that was Metonic. Will he ever appear in the comics? Who knows? Chris Chan might retcon it, he might not retcon it. Today we are going to be talking about Metonic and Vamprosa, and if that seems familiar, it's because I've already talked about these before. But I've been studying up on Chris's little card game that he's made a mod for, some My Little Pony thing, and I want to do a full stream on that. But while I was doing that, apparently he's done a little bit of an update on Metonic and Vamprosa. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So this is kind of like a preview to the other stream that I'm going to do later. Chris says, I'm going to tell y'all, it's still with the y'all shit, a little story about the evolution of Sonichu and Rosachu's evolved forms respectively, Metonic and Vamprosa. And this is the original artwork that he did years ago, well before the Sonichu comics started. They were original Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I forget what the other one was. Animal Crossing cards. A regular Sonichu can evolve into the Steel Electric Metonic by being traded with a metal coat. A regular Rosachu can evolve into a Dark/Electric Vamprosa by having highest friendship levels and leveling up during midnight hour of 12 and 1 a.m. And I think that's carried over from Pokemon. I think certain Pokemon evolve with friendship levels or whatever. Metonics are meant to be tough, durable soldiers in combat. They maintain their foot and leg. He said there, but as far as I know, only one can do it, and only one does evolve in the future, and that is the original Sonichu, so I don't know why he's speaking in a plural. Reflexes. Their armor is actually super toughened fur and quills. All of their bodily fuzz, I don't think that's the term you should be using, Chris, gets diamond tough treatment. It should be rough, but whatever. Diamond tough treatment in evolution. The armored parts are mostly unbreakable. Its hair, I really doubt it could be unbreakable. Impenetrable areas. The armor is not coming off any time, making Sonichu be stuck looking like that forever. They trade their spin dash ability for their sword and generate shields with their barrier attacks and electricity. Metonics are the best in defense, offense, and speed. Why would you make him that overpowered? That's just broken. One can ask for in combat. You should at least make him slower so it kind of balances him out. Vamprosas get a wing treatment similar to flying squirrels. No, not flying squirrels. Flying squirrels have skin underneath their arms. Vamprosas have bat wings. But bat style. They can actually survive during the day. Well, yeah, because it's not an actual vampire. And at night, they are not prone to any of the weaknesses of a vampire. So you get all the strengths of a vampire with none of the weaknesses. Thank you, Chris Chan, for making things completely unbalanced yet again. There are a few Vamprosas. As far as I know, there's only been one. Are you suggesting there's going to be more in the future? I'm really curious to find that out. Who have actually been blessed in a church before. They generally do not feed on blood. Generally. I don't like that. It should be they do not feed on blood. What the fuck are they eating, Chris? They will only do so in self-defense. What self-defense? Self-defense is hitting someone when they're hitting you. Self-defense is shooting someone when they're threatening you. Self-defense is punching someone if they're going to attack you. Self-defense is not bite someone on the neck and drain them till they're dead. To weaken the worst of their enemies and foes. Consider them more like fruit bats in that sense. No, that's not fruit bats. You're wrong on that. But they do defend better in the night and in the shadows, as they have really good nocturnal vision. Well, they're not going to do too well staying hidden. They're dressed in bright red and have pink fur. They can outwit a powerful psychic type, if the psychic in question does not pose Miracle Eye ability, and I'm assuming Magi-chan does. Their defense stat is great in their wingspan, as the wings can grow larger. Ooh, that's fucking weird. To completely cover and protect the Vamprosa from incoming flames, ice, and other elements. Just say it's God. Just say it's a fucking god if you're gonna give it no weaknesses. When I first found / created these evolutions, I had a liking of knights and vampires. Someone's been playing ghosts and goblins a lot. And when you have them working together between on land and in the sky, in the brightness of day and the blackest of night, why do you need a knight character when you introduced Darkvine Sonichu? Is he completely pointless now? Is he an evolved Sonichu? I doubt it. This is a power duo that works well together, although it still adds a considerable difference that makes leaving them Sonichu and Rosachu as a better choice over evolving them. Well, I'm going to talk about what you could have done to fix this in the actual comics when this stream is over. We're getting close to that. Also, in online search, I noticed Vamprosa form for Savannah. She is unable to evolve, but she can still transform into a pseudo-evolved form as needed and maintain her natural and typical stats, skills. Who fucking cares? It's a comic character, but a flight ability and darkness electric type on top of psychic typing, so she has 3 types in her Vamprosa form, so she can temporarily transform into Vamprosa, very similar to Mega Evolving. And I'll go into a mini rant after I'm done reading this. This special one and only Savannah Rosachu. Last note, Google Metonic and I get a bunch of Sonic and Metal Sonic shipping art, just fair warning. And these are their new cards. These are the cards he made, and I will be showing these cards more when I look at all the cards. We see that Vamprosa has Dark Pulse, which you may swap 2 pony cards in the shipping grid. Ooh, elaborate fucking powers. And even though they're hedgehog Pokemon, it says pony on the card, because I guess it has to be pony. And Metonic has Slashing Blade. While this card is in your hand, you may discard a villain from the grid and play this card in its place. This power cannot be copied. So yeah, and then it just tells you more information about them down there. And that's all I wanted to talk about with those two. Someone, Lilychu, who actually liked my post when I said I was going to do this stream, asked Christine, Christine, I have a question about Vamprosas. Do they lose their tail? And Chris says yes, and then they thank them. Now, I'm going to go into a mini little autistic rant, so I'm giving you a little heads up before I do it. Chris introduced the Sonicite crystals into Sonichu lore. I already made a video talking about this. And in that, he decided that the Sonicite crystal would allow Sonichu to turn into Ultra Sonichu and allow Rosachu to turn into her furry form. And rather than doing that, how about you not do that? Because these powers already have an explanation. Ultra Sonichu came from the Sonichu crystals. And then the Rosachu, the wild lioness, came from her getting angry. So Chris had to retcon them for no reason. He should have kept these as one-off transformations and said fuck it and not use them anymore, and instead make the Mega Evolution be Metonic and Vamprosa. It doesn't contradict what you said originally, because you said it's a evolution for Sonichu and Rosachu, and you'll get to use these forms knowing that they can go back to their regular forms, because Chris is never going to evolve Sonichu because he's afraid that Sonichu will be stuck looking like this. If these are temporary evolutions like you did with Sylvana, then these characters can turn back to looking normal later. What's the point of you introducing Mega Evolution if you take the evolutions you're never going to use and don't use them? That's just writing advice for Chris. You made these forms, you like them a lot, you keep using them in non-canon material, just make them Mega Evolutions. It'll fix a lot of your problems that you're having with these forms and make them seem a lot less useless. Today we are going to be looking at another tweet from Chris Chan. Now, if you guys don't know, this is a part 2 video. I have been covering multiple videos on Sonichu and Rosachu for over a year now, and this is a sequel to my video on Sonichu and Rosachu's evolution, Metonic and Vamprosa. This gives us some more information on that. It's not going to be a very long video, none of these type of videos are, so hopefully you guys are ready to learn some some new information from Chris Chan. Hey everyone, let's talk now of female Metonic and male Vamprosas. And I'm gonna start this off with a little bit of a complaint of my own. It's gonna sound really autistic, so I'm warning you ahead of time. If you don't give two shits about Sonichu's lore, just click off now. A lot of people don't understand what I find so interesting about Chris. This is one of the things that I find interesting. Now, when Sonichu and Rosachu was first made, I'm 100% sure that Chris intended for it to be one species, and that being that the male versions are Sonichus and the female versions are Rosechus. I say this because every single character we were introduced to that was a Sonichu that was male was Sonichu. Wild Sonichu, Magichan Sonichu, and all the females were Rosechus. That being Bubbles Rosachu, or Angelica Rosechu, and regular Rosechu. They were all the same name. Now, since Chris Chan has become more obsessed about trans shit, he's introduced the idea of male and female Sonichus and male and female Rosechus, and I think that just complicates shit. It's unnecessary world building that dilutes the simplicity of the original Sonichu and Rosechu. So I think that this is actually something that's hurt the narrative of Sonichu. I know Sonichu sucks, it can never be fixed, but this is just something that I don't like. It's an unnecessary addition. And for comparison with the fresh drawing, here are some recent Metonic and Vamprosa card art, and he wants you to buy his cards. Don't buy his cards, they are really expensive. You can spend your money on better shit. And this is the new design. It's weird that the male Vamprosa, they look almost identical, but just without the headband. I guess that curl next to the ears is how they differentiate them. Meanwhile, the female Metonic looks completely different. Instead of having a helmet, the silver just kind of goes through it, and that's weird. That's weird that he'd get rid of the helmet. And now, instead of a regular Pikachu tail, it's the female Pikachu tail. That seems to be the biggest differentiator, though, is the fact that they no longer have a helmet. And nope, first time coolering, I'm gonna keep saying it like that because you're American, Chris, learn how to spell. Any Metonic with metallic gel pen ink, a male Metonic's armor and fur is typically as metallic as sheen as in female one drawn. Did you mean to say sheen? I think you meant, maybe you meant sheen? Maybe he meant sheen. Here, and shiny variants. It remains in simply changing the yellow fur to white, and the pink fur to royal purple. I didn't notice any difference in color there at all. It looks the same in color. It just looks slightly more glossy because of your gel pen. To evolve a Pokemon is optional, but to have one that is slightly stronger option remains a good idea for most trainers. Well, there's only one original Sonichu and one original Rosechu, so unless other Pokemon get this form, it doesn't really matter. So, comma on. I don't think you need a comma there. The fact that 113 Sonichus and females and 113 Rosechus are male, I don't think that's how you're supposed to type that, Chris. For a number out of them to evolve by trainer influence or choice, well, none of them have, so it doesn't fucking matter. It does remain to say that gender variant of evolved is a rarity in comparison. Anyhow, you can see the different body armor style on the female Metonic, including waist guards, and male Vamprosa keep the Raichu ears and back facing quill style, and they typically wear purple slacks. Now you, with an OC in mind, have this as an optional, oh, so this is for other people's shit. This is just for other people who want to make OCs that you'll steal and slap onto a card. Reference and framework. Have fun discovering and creating, but don't create too differently than me or else you're wrong. Thank you. And this was really just to shill his cards, because that's how he makes his money now. People are dumb enough to buy these cards, and I've seen people buy these cards. I'm really shocked how many people have. So hopefully you guys learned something today. If you did learn something, hit the like button. If you really like this video, then share it. And if you want to see more, then subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and bye. Before the credits roll, I thought I'd give a shout out to my multiple ways of making money. YouTube is starting to slowly sanitize the platform, making it harder for people to make money on edgier content like I do. So I'm reminding you guys that I have a Patreon. The Patreon has plenty of reward tiers, including seeing my podcast early and possibly getting onto the show if I can fit that into the schedule. I have video recommendation tiers that you can try to get into, and if all else fails and my YouTube falls apart, I always have a BitChute account. So remember to check out all these different things in the description below.